Oh, I love this story. It's exactly what you'd expect. White man calling himself a lesbian Indian forces alphabet activists to turn on their own talking points. You see, this man came out seemingly with full sincerity, claiming that now he identifies as a woman of color and a lesbian. And of course, leftists started attacking him. And with a straight face, he said, "You cannot demand from me evidence. I am allowed to have this identity." It's brilliant, really. Is from the Federalist. A white Indiana County councilman is remaining defiant against calls to step down after publishing a Facebook post that announced his identity as a lesbian Indian woman. Republican Delaware County Councilman Ryan Webb ignited local outrage at a public council meeting last week after he declared himself an American Indian woman with a Facebook post 3 weeks ago. "It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but as a woman of color as well. I guess this would make me gay, lesbian as well, since I'm attracted to women." Residents lined up at the county's council hearing on Tuesday to demand he resign. "I feel that he basically made a hate speech in this post," said one constituent named Mary Stilts in the eastern Indiana city of Muncie. "He has created some hate and discord and divide with the transgender population here." All right, let's play the video. Here you go.
The person Ryan Webb announced publicly on social media that he now identifies as a lesbian woman of color. If he were serious, I'd sing his praises. But instead, I know better.
In none of my jobs in the last 21 years, and that is many, many jobs, would I have been permitted to mock and disrespect my customers.
And if that were true, we would all be proud of you, and no one would be denying your right to do such things and to identify by your heritage. But your open mockery of these communities is insane.
In order to demand for the resignation of Ryan Webb. The posts Mr. Webb made on April 12th were offensive on many levels.
After hearing these complaints, Ryan Webb responded.
"I'm being dead serious. You don't get to question me. You do not get to require proof from me. You were part of the movement to help establish these rules and set the bar."
Touche, Councilman. Touche.
I want to play that first bit right there again. I'm going to play this.
Ryan Webb announced publicly on social media that he now identifies as a lesbian woman of color. If he were serious, I'd sing his praises. But instead, I know better.
How do you know better? How do you know better? You don't know better, and that's his point. He even says he's being dead serious. So back off, bigots. The joke was that Donald Trump should have done it. He should have come out and just been like, "I am the first woman of color in this country." And then people would have been, the first president. Sorry, "I am the first woman of color president in this country." Not the first, obviously, but you get my point. The first president. Because then they'd all get mad and he'd be like, "Why are you mad? It's what you wanted. And you've won." This is really funny, though, because I think it's the right way to go about it. I was saying before that one of the risks here is that they'll just be like, "Okay, congratulations. Thanks for actually agreeing with us." But as Ryan Webb has proven, in fact, they'll go the opposite and start arguing against the right of anyone to identify as however they want. So I strongly encourage more individuals like Ryan Webb to do so. Another resident named Charlize Jameson, a man who claims to be a woman, took to the podium to accuse Webb of making an insult to women, persons of color, and the LGBTQ community all in one statement. How do they not realize they're literally doing this? That's what's really remarkable about all of it. This individual came up and said, "You're insulting women." And it's like, bro, you're a male. You are insulting women too. How do you get to decide that someone who says they've identified a certain way is an insult, but you're not? That's what I talked about with the human rights lawyer. I've told you the story before in New York when I said, what's to stop a person from dressing up like in a fursuit for their job at Starbucks? And he said the judge would laugh you out of the room. You cannot mock someone's identity under these rules. So Ryan Webb wins. And he's not even going far enough. I say, Ryan, put on the full costume. Show up, see what they say. Put on a fursuit. His comments are disgraceful. They fall below our expectations of an elected official whose job it is to represent all of his constituents. You see, here's what's really happening. Many of these people are feigning being some kind of marginalized voice for power in this system. And oh no, Ryan Webb's starting to do it too. You better cringe and complain. Webb doubled down on his gender identity at the end of the meeting. If you're sensitive, if you're triggered, maybe you should walk out. because what I do is I give it straight and unfiltered. Gender identity is one person's personal sense of one's own gender. It doesn't have to be affirmed by anyone. You don't get to question how I personally identify. The local press picked up the controversy last week, and we ended up with this video.
A councilman is coming out as transgender and a woman of color. Delaware County Councilman Ryan Webb announced that he now identifies as an Indian American woman. Since that announcement, he's received some support, but a lot of backlash. Many calling him childish, despicable, even calling for things like execution. In a statement Webb gave to ITMate, he says, quote, "It is unfortunate that I cannot simply be given the same space and respect to explore my identity that so many of those targeting me demand for themselves. It's possible I may change my mind down the road. The process of identity exploration is complex, and oftentimes at the end of our personal journey, we end right back where we started." Webb goes on to tell ITMate this is just his true, authentic self.
Good for you. Good for you. You see, I will say it outright. I can be consistent. I don't care if a person is trans. I mean, the transracial thing's kind of weird because, like, if you're not that race, I don't know how you identify as that race, right? Like someone who's 100% Finnish claiming that they're black, it's like, you're not. But I guess when you bring up the argument of the out of Africa theory, it's like, we all came from there, so it's all within us, fine, whatever. But transgender, whatever, man, do your thing, just don't hurt kids. Leave the kids out of it. There was one study I just saw, people are sharing it, where it says puberty is the cure for gender dysphoria in children. Letting them go through puberty, they desist. They stop experiencing dysphoria. And so as an adult, you, sir, are entitled to identify as whatever you want. Just don't expect me to participate. And if that means a leftist wants to claim to be something and a conservative dude is making a point about it by identifying, I'll say whatever to both. You look, and I put it this way too. I don't care for the most part. Like the neo-pronouns go too far. If there is somebody who is like, looks like a woman, but they're male and they want to use she, her pronouns, I really don't care. If it's someone like Dylan Mulvaney who's mocking trans people and is clearly not trans, and that's been stated by different transgender YouTubers, then I'm going to say he, because you're insulting someone and trying to mock them. But if someone comes out and says with full sincerity they want to identify a certain way, I'm like, I don't care. And if they come to me and they say their name is Susan, bro, I'll call you whatever you want, okay? The neo-pronouns cross the line, but whatever your name is, I'll say whatever your name is. If, like, some dude comes up to me and says that his name is, like, Dagger, I'll be like, okay, your name's probably not Dagger, but, dude, I don't care. I'll call you Dag. Dagger, whatever. You can, and he's got, like, a leather jacket, and he slicks his hair back, and he's like, that's my name. And I'm like, whatever you want, buddy, I don't care. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to associate with you. Although my own gender identity is my own personal business and not up for debate or qualification from anyone at all, the journey of discovery has allowed me to hold up a mirror to the intolerant left and their contradiction of ideology, Webb wrote in a statement Monday. As expected, they have completely attacked and dismantled their very own ideology with their own actions and words. There is no ideology. And this really frustrates me when I hear people say, like, actually, it's rooted in Marxism. And it's like, no, it's not. It is power thirst. They will reject the core tenets of this ideology if you embrace it, as we are seeing right now. The woke cult is just a zombified marching in lockstep with social orthodoxy. It is created by social media algorithms. Because as expected, they have completely dismantled and attacked their own ideology. In an interview with the Federalist Monday afternoon, Webb pledged to set the example for everybody else to be whoever they want to be and dismissed calls to step down. I'm just glad that we've been able to draw some awareness to the situation and the fact that the liberal left have laid the groundwork that anybody can be anybody at any time that they wish. I would never resign, especially over something as trivial as my own gender identity. In fact, I would argue the people demanding he resign are transphobic because they're demanding he resign for a coming out. How dare they? While liberals mock Webb's announcement, transracialism has grown among those eager to capitalize on the victim hierarchy established by left-wing matrices of identity politics. Isn't it matrices? Yeah. In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, the leader of Spokane, Washington NAACP chapter, was exposed as a white woman pretending to be black. She's white! How did they not know? In 2020, George Washington University's Jessica Krug, who presented herself as a Caribbean New Yorker while working as a respected black writer in African studies, was revealed to be a woman from a suburb of Kansas City. Earlier this year, a Muslim activist named Raquel Saraswati stepped down from her job as the lead equity, inclusion, and culture officer at the America Friends Service Committee after she was caught faking her background. Saraswati was discovered to be European and a Muslim with roots in Arab, Latin, and South Asian heritage. Listen, you get it. We get what he's doing, and I'm all for it. You set the rules. You do not get to question this man. Let's see more. Trump should come out and say he's trans or whatever, and he's the first female president or something like that. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.